My first commercial was, I think, a life insurance commercial or a Pampers commercial.
Oh.
But I was like really young. So the fact that I'm a comedian now is like definitely their fault.
What's the first big break for you?
Jeff Garland found me before the Colbert Show and asked me to like start opening for him. I got there and it was really fucking him. And the funniest thing was when I first got there, he asked me how his hair was looking, and then he like asked me to fix it. So I was like running my hands through his hair. And then later I found out he thought I was a hairdresser. There's the Crow in Santa Monica where I actually run a really cool thing called Tomorrow's Ladies of Late Night, where we get women and non-binary people in front of top comedy execs. I had no idea that doing stand-up would turn me into a writer. So that was kind of a cool offshoot. And then recently I was writing on Funny You Should Ask, the comedy trivia game show, which was super fun, where you get to, writing for different celebrities like Natasha Leggero and John Lovitz and all these great people. And I had my writer's room dream.
Hi, and welcome to 90who10. I'm Jessica Entner.
And I'm Dan Eisenstein.
And somebody who I am so excited to have on the show today. She's also a Beverly Hills High alum. She is currently performing at Jimmy Kimmel's nightclub in Vegas with her show Slay at Home Mom. It is Heather Pasternak.
What's up? I'm so happy to be here.
We met actually, Dan, I don't know if you know this, but I did a stand-up comedy class.
You've sang, you've danced, you've comedy, you've done it all.
She's great.
Well, because I get bored and then I try things and I'm like, okay, I checked that off. And I did this, and Heather was just an amazing coach. And
so that's how you guys met, was in comedy class?
Yeah.
And you just happened to have this Beverly Hills connection.
That's
yep.
right.
Because Heather, you grew up in Beverly Hills.
I did. My parents still live there. I'm a 90who10, just like Jeff.
Were your parents in the entertainment business as well?
They weren't actually. My mom practices law and my dad did different things in real estate. And, but I was like, they did have me doing commercials when I was like, I was doing, my first commercial was, I think, a life insurance commercial or a Pampers commercial.
Oh.
But I was like really young. So the fact that I'm a comedian now is like definitely their fault.
How did that happen? I mean, were you like at the grocery store with your mom and someone was like, whoa, what a cute baby?
Well, I have an older sister who's an amazing singer. When she was a little girl, she used to go up to different tables at restaurants and start singing. And she did it apparently to this table that had like these agents, and they signed her. And then when I was born, my mom was like, oh, we got to get her in too. But my mom kind of like didn't really see me. Like, she like had like mom lens on, and I was like really very fat as a child. They actually still call me Cookie because that's all I answered to. And the agent was like, I guess we'll sign her. But then I got cute and I booked some things, and my mom said I'd be lucky. Like, sometimes you book something and it's like, it doesn't air. Like I would book something and it would like run a few times and be national. So it was enough for them to kind of invest in taking me to places. And it was cool, but it also is like a mind fuck to be an earner when you're so young. To have that kind of dynamic in your like family upbringing is just like interesting.
That's funny because we never really, we've touched a little bit about that with one of our guests, Bobby Jacoby, with his family. But your parents were successful in their own right, but they had time to.
Yes and no. Like they actually used some of my commercial money to like invest in their businesses and stuff. So I mean, I was already born in the house in Beverly Hills, so like, I guess they were successful to an extent, but I do think there was some favoritism just because I was like a bit of a breadwinner. It's funny because they were always like, well, this will pay for your college. And I thought that there was like money sitting in an account for me, which I think legally now it has to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when it was time for me to go to college, they were like, okay, we spent all your money, but we're going to cover your college. So and I went to NYU, which is really friggin' expensive.
Right.
I think I got the good end of the deal, but it's definitely something that like, you can't do that now, I don't think.
No.
Like, the Coogan law.
Yeah, the Jackie Coogan law. We talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, so my 6-year-old goes on some auditions and he has a Coogan account, which is why I know that I can't follow in my parents' footsteps. Exactly.
Damn it.
You can still take like 10% or as the momager,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just covers diapers. pretty
Right.
much. That's about it. Yeah. Or he's probably out of them by now. But that's crazy. I did not know that about you. And it's funny because we met in class because one of my good friends, Jen Tyler, had taken the class before. And then I had reached out to Jennifer Brandt, who also is now doing.
They're both in class right now. They're in an alumni class.
Where's this class?
It's a stand-up comedy class. I teach it with Jerry Katzman. It's like award-winning, one of the best ones in LA, if I may toot his horn. And I always say I took the class over 10 years ago, and then I just like never left until he finally allowed me to teach with him, which is pretty much exactly what happened.
Do you have a website that people can go to if they're interested in taking your class?
It's standupcomedyclass.com. Check us out. We have so much fun. And then we have continuing
the best
classes. So it's like once you learn the technique, if you want to keep going, you can we create like a really nice writer's room. The community is the best part. Like even just the fact that Jess and I are still in touch kind of.
Yeah. And Leslie.
Leslie.
Netflix show. I mean, it's been amazing.
I think I started kind of right around with her. And it's funny to see these different people. Like I did late night in 2018 and then like, and now it's like, what am I doing now? But you know what I mean? Like, it's just so funny to see everybody on their own trajectory and their own timeline. And then some people are blowing up from social media.
Who's Leslie? I don't mean to interrupt you, but
oh my gosh,
people are interested. Who's Leslie?
There's so many great comics who came out of this class, but Leslie Liao is blowing up right now. She's done like all the late night spots, JFL. She's on tour. Dick is another one who came from Jerry alum. Brittany Schmidt is also, and I'm sure there'll be even more big names coming. So
it's honestly, I explain it to people because really what happened was I went to Jen Tyler's show and I was like, wait a second, I can do this. I think I'm funny, but it's not about that. It's very much a writing class and working together and like working a joke and trying to figure out the wording and like the hit point.
It allows you to sort of be like, you have to find the truth before the funny. And I think that's the pitfall for a lot of people starting comedy on their own is they go for funny first. Cause you have to at an open mic. The pressure is just, an open mic is their own beautiful nightmare. So this creates like a really safe space.
So did you come out of NYU and you wanted to be an actress or were you always, I want to be
I was like,
actress.
I want to be a series regular. I can't believe all these failed teachers who like are teaching me acting and can't get a part. And now I'm one of them. And I'm like, I'm so grateful for my teaching job. But life is wonderful and weird and long and humbling if you're lucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were you in the theater department at Beverly?
I was.
Yeah. And what year, if you don't mind me asking, what year were you?
After me.
I'd rather get naked.
Yeah.
Were you, I mean, you're a youngin' compared to us.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I graduated Beverly High in 2005 and I had a teacher who, had a license plate that said "Gotta Act," and he was an actor. And,
I know.
There were so many, you know him, and there were so many.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's my favorite teacher, actually.
Speedy, actually, I should go back and see him. But there were so many people in that.
Oh my God, let's go together.
Okay. And I like couldn't sing and I couldn't dance and I felt like I never got cast in things because it was always going to like the upperclassmen. And stand-up is just one of those things too that it's like even in college there was no like stand-up comedy studio, like you just were like, why am I so bad at Shakespeare? Like, it's like there's no place for stand-ups in the acting world that much. It sort of feels like it's kind of looked down upon. I feel like they're like, well,
you know what? I think you're right in a weird way. It's like not classical. It's like you weren't a miser.
You really think so? Because there's so many great stand-ups that have broken into movies and even now and sitcoms.
I think it's hard to do. I think if you can do comedy, you can do drama. And I don't think it's the other way around. But I think in general, there's a vibe from people where it's just easy to dismiss. It's like you kind of have to prove yourself a little more.
Yeah, sure.
It's much harder too. It's a lot easier, I feel like, to do drama. And when you see, and I think that's why some of these comedians or people that classically started out as comedians, when they switch to doing dramatic roles, they blow your mind because you're like, that's where the comedy is because they see both sides. And it's really interesting.
Did you do, I'm just curious, sorry to interrupt you, but like, did you do theater at Beverly High too?
I did, but I was like you. I did a lot of like the one acts and stuff like that. Like that's where I kind of shined and festival. They had me in improv and festival and like Shakespeare festival. So I was like really good at getting trophies for the school, but I never got cast in the big plays, which was always a bummer. And I actually, even though I was a singer later, I didn't find my voice. And like, I could not sing like a musical. Like I couldn't do it, but I wanted to go to NYU and I auditioned and I got in on merit, but I didn't have enough credit. So I ended up going to American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which was a great school. Yeah. So I did that for 2 years, but then it just like, I love doing plays. I wanted to be a serious actress, but I was also goofy. And it takes a kind of dedication. Like when you're in those classes and they're like, if you can see yourself doing anything else, I always was like, I totally can. I don't know what it is, but I didn't have that, like, I want this. It didn't sit in. But I like that about everything.
I still want it, but like my dreams have changed, you know, like you get older, you get more practical. For a long time, I never wanted to be in a writer's room because I was like, I need to be on camera. Now I have a kid. I'm like, give me a writer's room, give me a Zoom room, some healthcare. I think when
I went corporate. Let me tell you, it's a whole new world over there.
What are you doing in the corporate worwant
So I've always been on the music side of things, and but it's been great because benefits are amazing. I went to work and I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, it's
this
funny.
Is like a country club compared to all the fucking shit lifting I've been doing for the past 20 years.
Yeah. Even now, like when I think about the idea of being a series regular, I'm like, I would love to be like, if we're manifesting, like I want to be like 5th on a call sheet. You know what I mean? I want to work like 2 days a week and just be like, that's my dream.
You want a series regular role where you're just kind of the fun neighbor.
Yeah, I want a series irregular role. Do they have
that? Series regular 3 days a week? That means you want to be on a film shoot. You don't want to be on a soundstage. On a soundstage, you're there 5-6 days a week, no matter what.
You know what my real fantasy is to be one of the comedian hosts on British Bake Off. That's the dream job. That is the dream job.
I was out to lunch with a client the other day and he out of the blue was like, oh, that's a guilty pleasure of mine, the British Bake Off. And I'm like, I hear that from people all the time.
It's the sweetest, most wholesome show. It's like the only reality show where people aren't trying to like get people's feelings hurt. It's like just straight up about cooking. And these people are like crying over souffles. It's so sweet.
And they're British. So it's even funnier because they have the, it's deflated, you know.
And it makes you really hungry. And the editing is good. I don't know. I like watching it. But it's funny you mentioned the corporate world because comedy partners, Jerry Katzman and I actually have like a corporate leg of our comedy school where we go in and we teach people charisma and authenticity and vulnerability and team building. And isn't that crazy?
You teach Riz. I love because that's how you get the young clients. If you use that in your marketing.
Okay, I got Riz now.
I have a Gen Alpha kid. It's really eye-opening and quite frightening. Just wait.
I'm scared.
You should be. They're weird. They're odd little people. That's amazing. And I actually, after I took your class, because Heather, before she was officially partnered, she was basically like the coach, like the TA, the extraordinaire. Like if you could get Heather's attention, then you were doing really well. Because Jerry already was giving you all the love. But Heather, if you made her laugh, you were like, oh, that's a good one. I'm going to keep that in my set. And I love that I've seen your comedy kind of more from being like the single girl comedy to like in a new relationship. And like now I'm a stoned mom. And I'm like, yes, more of that.
I know. What's next? I guess we'll see.
I don't know. You'll see. You'll see what happens. I'm big on generational comedy right now in my head. Well, just because the striking difference between us and them. It's a weird.
It is weird, especially because we're all still like 26 in our minds forever, right?
Who are some of your favorite comics that are out there right now working?
Favorite comics?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love so many of them. Eddie Pepitone is amazing. He's like this just big guy who like yells the whole time. Like, I think I really appreciate comedy when I'm like, oh, you can do something like totally different from me. You know what I mean? But there's so many amazing comics and at every level. I mean, it's hard to name them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really liking Ralph Barbosa. Do you know him?
Oh yeah, I've heard of him. I haven't.
He's great. Do you know Modi? You got to check out Modi Rosenfeld.
Okay. I got a lot of notes to take.
He's hysterical.
Riz and Modi Rosenthal.
Modi and Ralph are probably my two favorites right now.
Oh, that's cool. I just saw a woman on Netflix called Rachel. Feldman. I don't know.
Einstein?
Yes.
She's great. Yeah.
I was crying laughing. It was so good. It was like a really
more time to watch other people's specials, to be honest. I'm like, It's all I can do to like chase my toddler. When I do Vegas, it's nice because it is a 40-minute flight. Like, it's funny. I never was interested in road gigs until I had a kid, which is so stupid. And I made so many mistakes early on. I like took my son to Vegas with me for like a festival, and he was like 1, and we were like in a casino, and it was horrible. The pool didn't open till 10. He woke up at 6, and we were like, what are we going to do? Like, it was such a nightmare. And then I was so tired that like I made it to the semifinals, and I like my closer, I was so tired from like watching my kid that I like dropped a whole line of it that like made it make sense. So I totally like botched my closer, and it was like all of this to just have it like that. But honestly, the competition was really steep and awesome. So maybe I wouldn't have gone farther anyway, but it was just funny that that's how it all shook out. But now it's a 40-minute flight, and when I'm really feeling like a celebrity, I fly out of Burbank because I live on the east side, and then it's like all very doable. And I do get flight anxiety now after having a kid, so I take a little bit of my prescription, and it's like not a bad flight. It's like you go up, you go down, and you're just in Vegas. But, you know, I'm always excited to leave. Vegas is kind of gross. And then sometimes they'll bring me in for a one-nighter, which is super easy. Sometimes I'm there for 4 nights because they're having me do press to like plug the show and try to build an audience out there. And that's a lot of fun. And I love, honestly, getting away. Like, nothing makes me a better mom. Sort of like it feeds the like flirting between me and my husband to just be like gone for 4 days. So it's like, I'm all about it. And it's not happening that often. Like, I usually go a couple times a year, but I've been talking with them about maybe coming more frequently. So it would be cool to like down the line have a residency. And I have been targeting more places that are 40-minute flights is so doable. And as older, like I did a show in Baltimore. My husband's from New Jersey and I went to NYU. So we have all these friends that have kids similar age that we never see. So we like built a road trip around my Baltimore show at Magooby's. And it was a bit of an experiment. Like, are we going to hate this? But it actually ended up being really fun. So I feel encouraged. And then there are other things like my friend Morgan J, who like blew up on TikTok. I don't know if you guys know him, but he does like comedy songs and he's amazing. And he took me he took me to my first open mic, and he's very hip with the younger people. I feel like your kid will know him. He's all over TikTok, but he's got me opening for him a couple of shows in September. It's like 2 one-nighters back to back where I'm moving one city to another. Like, and I'm definitely not bringing my kid on that, you know? So
that's amazing.
Are you working the clubs here locally too when you're in town?
I do work the clubs. I'm on like the Laugh Factory rotation. I'm doing one of their Long Beach shows. I do a lot of Don't Tell comedy shows, but the Comedy Store and the Improv are still like a little bit cliquey, you know, like I haven't invested the time to like be there every night showing my face and doing the open mics. But when other people produce shows there, I do get invited to, you know, participate. And then there's the Crow in Santa Monica, where I actually run a really cool thing called Tomorrow's Ladies of Late Night, where we get women and non-binary people in front of top comedy execs. We have like 3 auditions followed by informative Q&As, and then we like put together a showcase. And it's been, Leslie was actually on our first one, and that was one of the first times she met the Tonight Show booker, who saw her then again at JFL. So that was like a really cool kind of ripple effect thing. So I still love stand-up, but I do envy people like you, Jess, who are like, I tried it and I never need to do it again. Like, you know, I was an addict, you know?
No, I get it. Like, it's so, well, I also had COVID, which just opened up a whole new like door of like, you know, it was hard to get back to. I had booked a couple shows at the Comedy Store, and I was like, let's take this show on the road. I can maybe take this serious, but it wasn't destined to be. And then like, you know, butterflies, and I flitted off to something else. I have a podcast now. There you go. That's
that.
But the dedication, like even listening to how you're talking about it and all of the things that you're doing, I think people don't always see. And that's why we love talking about some of this on the show. People don't see, they see the overnight success. They don't see the 20 years behind it.
Overnight success is a 20-year thing, but that's what makes it good.
It's like building a community.
You don't want to know that the piano player rehearses. You just want to be like, look at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good point.
But how has your comedy changed since having a kid, for real?
Well, I used to do jokes about being like baby hungry, and now my jokes are like, careful what you wish for. Lately, I'm doing a lot of jokes about trying to stay married.
I love it.
Talking the truth, you know?
So basically you caught up to where Jen and Jen were when you were in the class. You're like, I'm not there yet. Yeah.
How old is your son, if you don't mind me asking?
He's 3.
Okay.
And he's real cute and he's no filter. And when he doesn't want to hang out with me, he says, go play in the kitchen.
I love it.
It's wild. But one thing I've been doing recently on stage, like now that I'm a parent, I've been thinking about my relationship with my mom a lot. And I've like been calling my mom on stage to ask her questions or talk about things that I'm afraid to talk to her about, because she's like,
oh my gosh,
kind of like a better parent when she knows 150 strangers are like listening to her on speakerphone, you know? So that's been kind of.
That is some manipulative, like therapy session shit right there.
That's awesome.
I started doing it on Mother's Day because it felt appropriate. Then recently I did a Jewish show and I was like, oh, I should call a Jewish mom. So I called her and now I'm like, how can I just do this every show? Because it's great, because it's like, even if the bit doesn't work, my relationship with her gets better. So I'm like, I'm here for it.
If you like Jewish comedy, you're going to love Modi. He's the Jewish comic of all time. But
cool.
Because you were talking about kids, I'm obviously you're familiar with Tom Papa.
Yeah.
I love his whole shtick about, I made my own people. I have my own people. I made my own people.
Have you made your own people yet? Because when you do, it's true. There's nothing like having your child mirror back all of your like traits that you were wishing you could like, you know, evolve out of them before they came. Yeah, that's what I got. And I got myself mirrored. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And the things that you thought you were hiding well, just like boom, right in your face. Like, oh, okay.
Well, I found out all my disorders after.
Here's the thing about it though. I mean, because you each have one kid. I have 3 kids.
Wow.
And if you do, I know Jess is not having any more kids, but if you do have more kids, what's amazing is you've made yourself, and now you've made it like a carbon copy of almost like that movie Multiplicity. You ever saw that? So it's like a copy of a copy. It's not quite the same. It's a little bit of generation, you know?
I wasn't ready for any more surprises.
Yeah.
You would? You're gonna maybe?
I tried to get pregnant again. I had like a really early on miscarriage, which, you know, is a disappointment, but honestly, I feel like people should just talk about it more.
I had one of them. Yeah.
And was it before or after your son?
Before, and it was really rough.
Yeah. See,
and then he had the same due date. It was weird.
Oh, that is weird. And how far along were you, if you don't mind my asking?
9 weeks.
Okay.
So early.
Yeah.
But it was missed. It was a missed miscarriage. I know, Dan, you're probably like, guys get really uncomfortable about that.
No, I'm not at all. In fact, it's weird because, I mean, from the guy's standpoint, I'm divorced now, but I went through it twice with my ex-wife. So even like, I don't want to step on any toes and say anything because it's a woman's issue. But I mean, husbands have to deal with wives who are going through it.
Totally. I don't know, but what I will say about it is, if I'm being honest, I think I felt some relief because the idea of going from like 1 to 2, and I think I had the advantage of already having one. I think if you don't have any kids and you have a miscarriage, it feels more heavy because you're like, is this ever going to happen to me? But I'm kind of in a place where I'm like, all right, if it's just one, like I'm sort of in the like, do I go for abs or number 2? Like, which way do I go?
It's one or the other.
But I can have both, you know, so we'll see what happens.
It just never happened. It wasn't like we were trying to prevent, it just didn't happen. And I was kind of like, I had unfortunately a miscarriage before Jake, which really was hard for us. And I don't think I realized the hormonal charge that would cause. But what it did convince us was we wanted a child.
Yeah.
So then it was like on a mission. I mean, then it was to the point where it was no longer fun. And we made it happen.
It was work.
Yeah.
It was work. It was work. And we did it. And then Jake was all the things that you could possibly imagine. And I love him so much. But yeah, we've got one shot at this. So we better make him a good person.
Right. Well, it's such a strain on the relationship too. Like I'm afraid, I'm like, okay, can we even do this? Like we're struggling with one sometimes, you know, so it's a lot.
It is. And I think right now everything's heavy, not to go there, but everything's heavy too. So we're thinking about things differently than our parents did, where like having 3 kids was, because Dan, I mean, you kind of followed in what both you and Pam, I know, came from.
I had no say in it, Jessica. You know, my ex-wife likes to say it's a good thing I don't know how babies are made.
That's pretty funny.
It is. Oh my God. Yeah. No, it's, you know what? It's cheaper having one. Let's be real. You
That's
don't really know
true.
what kind of kids you're going to have. We have a private school kid that costs a shit ton of money.
That's
I
a
could
lot.
not afford one to say.
Wait,
but
that's so interesting. You went to Beverly Hills High public school and then you were like, I'm not doing this with my kid.
No, we'll talk about this offline, but we tried. We now have him at like the perfect, most amazing school. But unfortunately, it's not one size fits all. You're lucky because you're not there, but like try public school. If your kid, if it works,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, you are like now fighting the system and it's really not pleasant.
Yeah.
So it's just those types of things.
You know what? When her show hits as neighbor number 3, but she's a regular and bringing in 50 grand a week, private school is not going to be an issue. There's no system to fight at that point.
Don't worry, Heather. We ask every family member to help. That's where we're at. Like, it's not like,
Totally.
my corporate gig's good. It's not that good. Like,
fair enough.
Let's talk about Beverly. I mean, who were some of were there any household names there when you were there? Any people that middle America would be like, whoa, you went to high school with that person?
Heather Pasternak. No.
Awesome.
To be honest, my school was majority, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it was like mostly Persian.
Yeah.
And a lot of the celebrities and celebrity kids were in private schools, which I'm sure you know that, Jess.
It was a bigger shift. I mean, look, all three of us are Beverly alum. I have an older brother and sister who went to El Rodeo in Beverly. It was a different time, in the 80s, 90s. If you were a celebrity, unless your kid had some kind of special needs or special issue, or you pretty much sent your kid to private school. I mean, that's why people moved to to public school. That's why people moved to Beverly Hills. And then I guess by the time we're dating you.
I think the other thing is that it was like maybe not household names, but it would be like their kid and you didn't know it was their kid, or someone's entertainment attorney, or, like definitely people had a lot of money. But when you're like, I don't know if you guys had this experience, but like, I didn't know going to Beverly Hills High was cool until I went to NYU. Like, I didn't even know to think like, I was like, oh, not everyone has like a Troop Beverly Hills movie about their school. Like, there are just so many, experiences. My mom we actually were Troop Beverly Hills. My mom was the troop leader, and this is so Beverly Hills. She let us spend our cookie money at the mall, and she called it an exercise on like financial learning or something like that.
Oh my God, I love that. Which mall?
You said that because something that's come up a couple times on the show is, like for me, growing up in Beverly Hills, if I would go on vacation somewhere or go out of town or meet somebody who wasn't from LA, they'd say, where are you from? I'd say, I'm from LA. They'd say, where in LA? I'd say, the West Side, near UCLA, near Westwood. Like, you'd have to beat it out of me that I was from Beverly Hills because there's a stigma associated with it.
Oh yeah, you got to say West LA or something.
So like what I'm saying is when you said when you got to NYU, people were impressed that you went to, grew up in Beverly Hills. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, she's real free with it. She's just putting it right out there. Where for me, I would just kind of like try to keep it like a deep, dark secret. So for you, was that something that you felt too, or you were kind of more open?
It's funny. Before I was coming here today to talk to you guys, I was thinking about like, who was I friends with in Beverly? And I was friends with my same like 3 friends that I'm still tight with. And it's funny that all 3 of them have like immigrant parents. And I don't know why I was like in the mix with that, but like, and I know this is going to sound bougie and everybody probably says this, but it's like, we didn't live in the hills. We lived in the flats. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, my parents like,
where in the flats though?
Like Doheny, Wilshire area.
Okay. Yeah.
Right on the verge of like, are you in an apartment building or a house? And like,
right. I was on that side.
And that's the thing about our show too, is we're kind of like pulling back the curtain because everybody hears Beverly Hills. They think everybody lives in a mansion. It's not the case.
I mean, my parents do live in a really nice big house, but they order in Domino's. Like they sit there, you know what I mean? Like, it's not what people think. It's like, if you live in Beverly Hills, you don't shop on Rodeo Drive.
This is really what the show's about, the nuts and bolts. And I want to get into it because you bring up something interesting. I mean, look, if you're growing up in Beverly Hills, the chances are you're doing better than most, but there is a huge disparity in lifestyles and in the way people grow up in Beverly Hills. I mean, there's some people, there's people who grow up very uber wealthy, big mansions. And there's, a side of Beverly Hills that people have beautiful homes, but it's like you'd see maybe typical of any suburban town in America.
Yeah. There's also a lot of like money mindset stuff. Like we lived in Beverly Hills, but like my dad clipped coupons in the morning. I don't know why he did that, but
there's a lot of that.
there's so many people in LA where it's like they're living in their parents' condo on the beach and they can't afford healthcare, like, or whatever, groceries, like it's such a weird place in that way.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, something that's come up more on the show too is you're going to school with somebody whose parents might be a household name, but it's just like growing up anywhere else in any, community. There's just more money and wealth, or maybe a little bit more of a spotlight on it. But the issues, the everyday issues, are the same for kids at school,
Yeah.
I always thought it was interesting because I kind of feel the same way when I've gone to like a small town, because it's like such a different experience than I grew up in, that I love it. And I'm so like, did you tip cows as a kid? That must have been so fun.
You lost your virginity in a field? Like,
there's something romanticized about like what you don't have. And I think for a lot of us kids growing up in LA, because it really isn't just Beverly Hills, but yes, of course, if you're growing up in like wealthier neighborhoods, some of the house parties at people's homes were like the parents were in the south of France for the summer. They were insane and like not normal. But I think we all realized they weren't like, they were their parents' homes, but it was just normal because that's what we knew.
And also like, it was like the kids' cars, everyone was driving their parents' cars, and the kids' cars are nicer than the teachers' cars. And it's like weird.
Yeah. There's definitely that. And it's funny because you graduated about 10 years after I did, and it was very different. I think that the 90s, like after 95, 96, the shift was very much, Beverly became much more of a Persian school, like percentage wise. And a lot of kids started going to private schools because of what private schools, the other next level of like panache that it could.
And just the cultural differences,
Yeah. Which I think I loved it when we were, because my year, I just remember it being so mixed. Like I had a lot of Persian friends, and I feel like as the years went by, it became like more segregated is what I heard.
But it's actually sometimes not an advantage, because you take a lot of stuff for granted. Like, the idea of outdoing your parents. It's like, did I peak in high school? I was driving my mom's Jaguar. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's hard.
I definitely peaked in high school.
Yeah, me too. But you guys should change the name of the podcast to We Peaked in High School.
I do. I always feel that way. But I also, did you have fun in high school?
I had some fun.
I think I had a blast. And I think it was just
so fun. Did you have boobs or something?
No. I looked like a kid. I had lots of different friends. Yeah. So I had like this crazy kind of like, I hung out with Dan for like, 6 months of 1 year, and it was so amazing. And then he went to college, and then there was somebody else.
Jess was super bubbly, super friendly. She was very attractive. She bounced around to different friend groups. She
still is all those things.
All those.
I'm a floater.
Yeah.
In college was not as fun for you, Jess?
No, I went to college and I had severe panic disorder.
She was a good time. She would push the envelope, but never over the edge. She, like I said, wild, but not crazy.
Because I'm not crazy, but I would do some stupid shit. Like I stole my mom's car. Like I did some, but it was, I had a good time. I wish I had taken it more seriously, but I think that just was the nature of, I didn't have a lot of guardrails.
Every person who didn't go to Harvard or, Stanford thinks, I wish I would have taken it a little more seriously.
Yeah, I did all right.
When I think back to college, I'm like, oh, that's everybody's worst version of themselves, because it's like you have all the agency of an adult and none of the like empathy yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that makes me cringe. Just like being like, who was I 18 to 26 probably?
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. So you came out of Beverly, you go to NYU. Are you involved in the theater department there or performing?
Yeah. So I started at the Adler wing, and then I transferred to the experimental wing.
I don't know what either one of those are.
They're just like different studios for acting, different styles of teaching.
Part of Tisch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that Adler's after Stella Adler is what I'm assuming.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so you graduate from NYU?
Yes.
And what do we do after college?
I'm living in Brooklyn with my boyfriend, whose parents pay his rent, and I'm working 3 jobs. And I'm so resentful that I moved back to Los Angeles with my tail tucked between my legs.
Are you doing comedy in New York?
A little bit of improv, but like I don't know that I do stand up yet, which is so wild because New York is such a great place to be doing that. Then I came home and I studied real estate, got my real estate license, like all
Gotta have something to fall back on.
all good actors in Los Angeles. You hit that career milestone where you can sell a house.
What year is that? What year is that?
I finished my license. I got it last year during the pandemic when I was pregnant because I was like, I don't have anything else to do. So, and the truth is, even if you just use it on your own home purchase, it's like, it's not a big investment time wise. And my family, it was like my dad's business and none of his kids took an interest in it. So I just felt like someone should like know about it. But I have yet to use it and it was probably a big waste of time. Yep. So I came home and I helped my dad run like some furnished hotel apartments, kind of like corporate housing stuff for a while. And then I started booking enough commercials where I could like book work and waitress and kind of full-time do my entertainment dream, and then found stand-up shortly thereafter. And that turned me into a writer. Then I got like a feature film rewrite project. My writing partner found me that way. Like I had no idea that doing stand-up would turn me into a writer. So that was kind of a cool offshoot. And then recently I was writing on Funny You Should Ask, the comedy trivia game show, which was super fun, where you get to, writing for different celebrities like Natasha Leggero and John Lovitz and all these great people. And I had my writer's room dream being in a Zoom room.
Just because we haven't brought him up on this show, Dave Faustino discovered Natasha Leggero. Just so you know that, Jess.
That is so funny.
When we were in New York making short films with Tommy, Dave cast Natasha into one of his short films. Like she had done nothing at that point.
Natasha is so talented. I can't even tell you guys, like watching her. So during COVID, they stopped being able to have live studio audiences. So they have all the writers come in and we just sit there and like laugh at our own jokes, which is so funny. But it's so impressive to see Natasha will take something that you wrote and you're like, that's mediocre, and just like sell the fuck out of it. And it's very impressive.
That's where you see the talent.
It's been amazing to watch her. Like I met her in 97. So to see her, when she's just starting out, to see the success and the rise, it's fun when you see that with somebody.
Totally. No, I'm impressed. And it's nice to see different people just be amazing at things and just go like, oh, it turns out maybe if you do something for 10 years, like you can get better at something.
What's the first big break for you?
Probably doing the Colbert Show. I mean, I bounced around from some different agencies. I've been at a lot of big name agencies. I feel like a lot of starting out actors are like, if I could just get with, and it's like, I've been with all of them and here we are. So
you can get lost in the mix when you're with some of those.
Yeah.
It's been cool. But the truth is, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you want to make stuff you care about, like you can just be unstoppable. And there's so many different ways to like do stuff in the industry now. So, but my first big break was probably the Colbert Show, just because now, when you have a late night credit, it just opens a lot of doors. And if you, travel, you can pretty much get a spot anywhere. Like it just gives you a certain amount of credibility. It's something people like to put on flyers when they put something, you know what I mean? So it's a cool thing. And I don't think I even really knew to have that be my dream, which I'm sure is so annoying to people who are like, I want this. But there are a lot of things that I want that I haven't got that other people, life is so funny that way, where it feels like the things that are meant for you usually are not hard won. But I don't know if that's everyone's experience, just mine, I guess.
I mean, listen, you can have a great career as a comedy writer, and writing for shows and stuff. I mean, it's a great way to go. And then it's weird, a lot of people have had careers as comedy writers for 10, 15, 20 years, all of a sudden find themselves on the show, just like you were talking about.
Ted Lasso, who plays Kent.
Oh yeah, he's so great.
He's the best. He was a writer.
Yeah.
And they were like, those types of stories are my favorite.
Yeah.
Larry David, who didn't want to be on front of the camera, pulling teeth.
Great segue, Dan.
Yeah.
So I happen to know that Heather had Jeff Garlin at her wedding.
Whoa.
Because I saw pictures, and I'm a huge Jeff Garlin fan. I love the Goldberg.
That was another big break for me, honestly. Jeff Garlin found me before the Colbert Show and asked me to like start opening for him, which was so flattering and like unbelievable at the time. He found me on like an Instagram rabbit hole. So one of my best friends growing up is Milana Weintraub, who also went to, and she's still my best friend, but she also went to Beverly Hills High for a couple years, although she left early and got her GED like a bunch of Russian kids do, I guess. And she's like, was the AT&T spokesperson on and off for a long time.
Oh yeah. And she's a director.
And we met, she's a great director. And we met when we were young auditioning for commercials. And my stage name, which my family called me, was Cookie Lee. And so she always remembers me because her and her mom were like Russian, like so fresh speaking Russian that like, I think this is a word for cookie. I might be butchering it, but she remembers her mom being like, her telling her mom that like my name was Cookie and her mom being like, Petroshka, like just being like, what? So she always remembered me. And then we were at the same high school. Anyway, long story long, I guess, you know, those AT&T ads are on a lot during sports games and stuff. So and she's so funny in them. And, you know, she's a comedian as well and a wonderful actress and director, like you said. So I guess at some point, Jeff Garlin followed her from just how, you know, in the public eye she was. And then he saw a post of us two and then went down the rabbit hole of my page. And I got an email with the subject saying, hello from Jeff Garlin. And I was like, and he said, do you want to come open for me at Flappers this weekend or at Largo? And I looked it up and I saw that he was at Largo with Wanda Sykes. And I had performed at Flappers at that point. And I thought like I was being punked. So I was like, I'm going to go for big air. I was like, yeah, I'll see you at Largo. I got there and it was really fucking him. And the funniest thing was when I first got there, he asked me how his hair was looking. And then he like asked me to fix it. So I was like running my hands through his hair. And then later I found out he thought I was a hairdresser.
Oh,
He's the nicest guy. I ran into him with my son, and my son was a huge Goldberg fan. My son's 18 now, but my son was like 12 at the time, and he could not have been sweeter to my son.
Yeah, he's very sweet, and he's been a big supporter of mine and a friend. And when I first met my husband, I was like not sure I was that into him because we had some miscommunications and some like do-overs in the beginning. And he showed up to one of my shows without telling me he was going to be there. And I had been texting Jeff that night. It was at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. And I was like intimidated by like some of the, like, there were just like a bunch of older comedians in the green room. And they were like, what do you want? Like, they just thought I was like a girl who wandered up there. And I was like, to make people laugh. Like, I was just like so out of place. And Jeff was like, I'll come say hi. So I'm in the middle of doing my set. And my husband, who I've been on maybe like 2 dates with at this point, is like sitting there. And I'm like, am I like having a seizure? Or is that like a guy that I hooked up with from last week? Like, I like did not expect him to be there at all. And so I was actually pissed that he showed up, even though like he probably thought he was doing this big romantic gesture. So I'm out on the street afterwards and he's trying to say hi to me. And I'm telling Jeff about like what an asshole he is for coming to support my show. And Jeff takes one look at him. He goes, really? Because if I were casting, I would cast that guy as your boyfriend. And Jeff had also seen me in a relationship with a guy who was like totally wrong for me. So it was just felt kind of appropriate. And then also my husband's parents are like New York Jews. And there were all these like people who are Jeff's age that we knew it would just be so much fun for them to come to this wedding in Los Angeles. And like Jeff Garlin, not only was there, but we asked him to make a little speech and which I regret because he was too honest. No, but he's wonderful.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you have a still like ongoing relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's just life,
that's
you know,
great.
like just managing time, but like I still open for him at Flappers when he asked me to, and I try to catch up with him, and I love him. Hope he's doing good, you know?
Yeah, that's great. No, he's wonderful. And of course, you know, you should totally be on the Larry David show, whatever he does. You really should.
I did get to audition once, and the audition is so intimidating. They mic you and you like improvise with Larry David and they film it and it's an audition and it's like so intense. There's like 13 producers in the room. It's like, it was overwhelming, but the part was it ended up being someone a lot older. My husband actually also auditioned during COVID on self-tape, and he plays a waiter in one of the episodes, which I can't remember which one, but like a golf club waiter where Larry and his like last girlfriend, who he like faked a disease to get out of the relationship. They're like ordering. God. It's the episode where he tries to order like bruschetta, but they only offer like a tomato sandwich or some like stupid thing like that, you know? Anyway, it was kind of fun.
I think it was Mountain Gate. I'm just kidding. What? Yeah. Your husband is also an actor.
He's an actor, and he has since then also started working as a financial advisor because like now we have a kid and we're trying to be grown-ups, but he's a really talented
real estate and financial advisor. Wow, you guys must be artists. I'm just kidding.
No, you're right. But he actually, so he got to be the Grinch for the Dr. Seuss estate for their last like TikTok campaign last year. Wait, this is so
how funny.
right here. This is his mask.
Wow.
He's so funny in it, but
Oh, I love that.
he didn't get tagged in any of it because it was like anonymous. So, but like some people who know his voice, and it was really fun because everyone's like, "Who is this? Is this Robert De Niro?" Like it was very like flattering for him and really fun part. And also like, of course, the Grinch is played by a grumpy Jewish guy. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
So what's next? I love everything that you've described, because I do think a lot of what you've already kind of like where you are and all the cool things that you have done, it's such an artist journey. It really is. Like you started young, you ended up going through like, you know.
I'm ready to sell out, Jess. No,
I think that's where we all get to. We're like, oh.
Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun doing the corporate comedy stuff. We gotten to work with like Amazon, Paramount, Google. And it's like, you know, when you're a comedian among comedians, you feel one way, but then when you get to come into the corporate world and be like, I'm the Hollywood clown, like that's a very special. So that's been a lot of fun. But you know, I'm writing scripts. I think I want to keep working in the writer's room and in the stand-up vein. And for me right now, I do a lot of coaching and writing for other people. So it's just, how do I carve out time to work on my stuff that I really care about? And that's like the struggle of a mom, no matter what your job is. Yeah. But what's nice about getting older is I think I feel less pressure. Like I think I used to feel like if it's not happening right now, it's not happening. And I feel much more like, oh, I've got time and I can like see how to make this kind of enjoyable. And also like the fact that I started in acting and now I love stand-up, and the fact that I would have never seen stand-up for myself. Like I like that about life. I hope there's another weird turn up ahead. I think that when you start to feel old and stagnant is when you feel like there aren't any surprises left, you know? So we'll see what's next. But also like if anyone from the British Bake Off production team is watching this, like hit me up.
We'll do our best. We'll tag them for sure.
An American Bake Off. Let's go.
I love that. I'm going to manifest that for you. And I 100% feel the same way as you do. Life has taken so many weird and amazing turns of things that I never thought I would do. Like just, you got to be along for the ride and know that like, two things, this too shall pass, and hold the fuck on. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes.
Totally.
Where can people find you, and when are you playing next, and when can they buy tickets?
You can find me at heatherpasternak.com. That has all of my updated shows. I'm also pretty active on Instagram and TikTok. I'm doing some shows in Long Beach. I have a Don't Tell comedy show. Wait, when does this air? Because I'm like, that's this weekend.
It'll be about 6 weeks.
Okay, so check out my website and you can catch me in Los Angeles, all over town, and maybe sometimes in Vegas. But I also have on my Instagram link tree, I have a tell me where to perform section. So if we had fun, you like my clips, you want to hang out, tell me where to perform and I'll come to your city, hopefully without my baby, but who knows?
I love it. I love it.
You can watch Slay at Home Mom. I have a very short special out that's only about 15 minutes. It's on YouTube or 800 PGM called Slay at Home Mom. So if you want a good little sampler, that'll do you.
And I love all of your clips on Instagram. So keep posting them because they make me happy. And that's how we converse. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for another episode of 90who10. I don't know where to look. There we are. Camera. Hi, how are you? Until next time, make sure to like and subscribe and check out Heather at heatherpasternak.com. PASTERNAK, if you were wondering how to spell Pasternak. And we will be back with a new episode shortly. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and follow us. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. You're so welcome. Yes. Thank you for coming.